All right. Great morning, superstars. How's everyone doing this morning? Get ready for another fantastic episode of Social Media Saturdays. And today we are going to talk about how to create high value content that engages your audience. So, this is for you if you are a coach or consultant and you want to build long term trust with your audience and convert them into loyal clients. Okay. So if you've ever been wondering that, you had a question, how can you do more of that? How can you create high value content that will be able to engage your audience? And definitely this is the episode for you. Okay. So I am out here, and if you can see me and you can hear me, just go ahead and drop a comment into the comment section and then let me know that you can see me and you can hear me. Okay. And I do believe that I see Jim and Carla. Hi, Carla. How are you? Carla is a new addition, or is one of the new additions to our Social Media Saturdays family. So thank you once again for jumping on and joining the broadcast this morning. Okay. All right. So I'm having a little trouble finding my feed, but that's okay. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to rock and roll with what I have. So callers out there, and Carla is saying that she can see me, she can hear me. So thank you so much for that, Carla, for putting that into the comment section. Okay. And so before we jump into the meat and potatoes of our episode today, which is how to create high value content that engages your audience, because people ask me about this stuff all the time, right? So I thought, why not have a conversation around it? But before we jump in, what I'm going to do is just ask everyone to just take a minute, okay? And let's just go ahead and introduce yourself into the comment section and just let me know who you serve and how you serve in your business. So I'll go ahead and I'll start off. So if this is the first time that you are tuning in to Social Media Saturdays, maybe you're just strolling through your news feed and you happen to see the video and you decided to stop and pause and, say, what is this video about? I'll go ahead and take a minute to introduce myself for those of you who are new to Social Media Saturdays. I am Taria Hodge, and I am a social media strategist. I'm getting tongue tied this morning. So I'm a social media strategist. Okay. And Social Media Saturdays is a live online broadcast platform dedicated to helping coaches and consultants grow their business by leveraging the power of social media. So in essence, what I do is I help you shine online. And when we talk about shining online, I like to talk about 5 specific things. So I help you show up powerfully and consistently on your social media. We help you hone in on your ideal client, who you serve. That's how I like to term that. And we also help you increase your influence and create more impact in the marketplace. We also help you nurture and build relationships online through the power of your social media, and ultimately create an experience around your brand. And I like to talk about the brand experience because one of the things I know is that people are experiencing our brands even before we know that they're experiencing us. So how many times, have someone told you that they have been checking you out on social media and you had no idea that they were checking you out? So you want to make sure that when you are, on social media, you are creating that experience for your audience in everything that you do. So always think about what's the experience that they're going to have when they come across your content on social media. Okay. And so I love it. Carla is out there, and Carla has put into the comment section that she served women who have had a cycle of relationship patterns after the next, and to help them develop positive mindset and habits which will help them see the value in themselves. This is so important, Carla. Thank you so much for putting that in there. This is the foundation that will help them make better decisions in relationship and in life. So Carla, I want to go ahead and just thank you. Shout out to you, superstar. Way to go on shining by putting who you serve and how you serve in your business. Now, Carla, what I'm going to ask you to do is to also go ahead and put how we can connect with you. So if you have a Facebook business page, you feel free to drop the link to the on your Facebook business page in the comment section. Or if you don't have a business page and you have a website, drop the link to the website, because one of the things that, I absolutely love that we do here on Social Media Saturdays is the virtual networking. And that's the reason why I ask every episode for everyone in the comment section to put who they serve in their business, how they serve in their business, and how we could connect with you, because you never know who's watching and you never know who might come across your information, even on the replay. So people come back, they watch the replay, I watch the comments, all week, so don't miss that opportunity, because there's someone out there, who needs your service. And I see that Sandra is out there this morning. Great morning, Sandra. And Sandra says, I serve other business owners by helping them find their unstoppable video marketing voice. Ooh, Sandra, I love it. So their clients, customers, and prospects can find, see, and hear them as the ideal solution that they are. Okay. And then she put her link where we can connect with her, which is the Think Vault, facebook.com Think Vault. Sandra, thank you so much for doing what you do and how you serve. And when I tell you, this is so in alignment, right, to what we are going to be talking about today, because we're talking about how to create high value content. Okay. And part of that, people always want to know how to write better blogs, how to have better social media postings. And also they always want to know how to create better videos online. So thank you, Sandra, for putting your information into the comment section and then letting us know how you serve in your business. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And I see that Ann Velma is out there. Great morning, Ann. How are you today? Thank you for jumping on and joining another episode of Social Media Saturdays. And I see that Cheryl is out there. Great morning, Cheryl. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Social Media Saturdays. Once again, and Cheryl, you're just joining us. Don't forget to put in the comment section who you serve in your business, how you serve in your business, and how we can connect with you, whether it's the link to your Facebook business page or if it's the link to your website if you don't have a Facebook business page. Okay. All right. And then also what I'm going to ask for each of you to do today, I am so excited about the topic. I'm going to ask everyone to just take a minute to share the broadcast out. Okay, so this is one of the questions like I get asked repeatedly all the time, how to create high value content. So I'm going to share some tips with you, and then I'm going to share some of the things that, I do myself personally in my business to make sure that I'm providing content, the right type of content, high value content for my superstars. Okay, so if you are watching, maybe you have a community and the members of your community could benefit from this information. If that's the case, then you want to go ahead and share it to your community, or you could just go ahead and share it back to your timeline. Okay, so that's the first thing that I'm going to ask you to do. The second thing that I'm going to ask you to do, if you have not receive the Identify Who You Are Called to Serve workbook. This is something that, I'm encouraging everyone to make sure that you get the workbook. Okay, so if you have not received your How to Identify Who You're Called to Serve workbook, make sure you grab your workbook. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can get the workbook. You could get the workbook by looking in the description of the video, okay? And I get excited all the time because people are actually getting the workbook before we start the show. So I love it, I love it, love it. So if you have not had the opportunity to grab your workbook, you could grab your workbook by looking in the description of the video, and then we have the link there. So that's the free gift that I promised that I was giving away on the broadcast today. Okay. Or if you would prefer to have that workbook delivered directly to your cell phone, you could simply comment with the word shine into the comment section. Okay, so comment with the word shine in the comment section, and that would allow the workbook to be delivered to you via Facebook Messenger. Okay, and one of the things that I usually like to encourage everyone get the workbook, because as we go through Social Media Saturdays episodes, there'll be times that I'll be teaching directly from the workbook. So don't just get the workbook and download the workbook and it goes to the download graveyard and die. Okay, I want you to make sure that you print the workbook, and then you should have a folder where you keep all of the awesome, cool resources that we do give away on the show in that folder. So as we go through these things, right, you'll be able to refer back to your resources. Okay, so I just want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to grab the workbook. So I see that Carla has she has put the word shine into the comment section. Helen, hi Helen, great morning dear, how are you? Helen has put the word shine into the comment section. And then Natasha Pierre, she is waving the VI flag this morning. Great morning, sis, family. How you doing this morning? Thank you so much for jumping on and joining Social Media Saturdays. Okay, so let's jump in to our episode today. So I'm super excited to have the conversation. And today we're going to cover 3 things on our episode. Okay, so the 3 things that we're going to cover today, and believe you me, if you have questions, if you have comments, make sure you put your questions, make sure you put your comments into the comment section, because I can't see questions, I can't see comments. We are streaming today from like 6 different places, okay? So we're actually streaming on YouTube. So everyone who's watching on YouTube, great morning to you. We're streaming on Twitter this morning. Great morning if you are joining us from our Twitter community, okay? So if you are out there and you are watching and you have questions, around the topic, which is how to create high value content, don't miss the opportunity to get your questions answered today. Okay. So we're going to talk about, first of all, what resources does it take for you to create high value content? What resources do you need to create and consistently create content? Because this is one of the things that, like I said, I get questions all the time. Like, oh my gosh, how do you find topics all of the time to do the show, right? Or even when I talk, to, some people out there, coaches and consultants, they're one of the biggest things that they say all the time, I don't know what to talk about, right? So if you're out there and you've ever said those words, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to share, or I don't know, what I'm going to talk about every week, okay, or every day, okay, if you have asked yourself that question, then definitely this broadcast is for you. Okay. And then the second thing that I'm going to talk about is the time that it takes to build your like, know, and trust factor and earning the right to ask for the sale. So let me just say this. One of the biggest challenges and one of the biggest things that I hear people talk about is, oh my gosh, building a content marketing strategy takes too long. Okay, so how many of you feel that maybe you are out there, you're posting on your blogs, maybe you are doing videos, right? You're out there, putting stuff out on social media, and you're looking for the return on investment. And you're like, oh my gosh, why am I doing this? Is this a waste of my time? I'm not getting the conversion that I like to see, right? And so we're going to take some time to talk about what it takes to build your like, know, and trust factor. That's the LKT, that's what I like to call it, like, know, and trust factor, and then earning the right. Okay. And we're going to talk a little bit about earning the right, because a lot of times what I see on social media, people have their products and services, and they look at social media as a place where they go out and they hawk their wares, right? And when I say hawk your wares, this is exactly what I mean. You have your product, your service, maybe you're doing an event, and the only time people see you on social media is when you have something to promote. How many of us have seen, brands like that? Like they're silent on social media until they have something to promote. And then when they have something to promote, then all of a sudden, right, they pop up, and then you're almost like bombarded, with all of the promotions. And then after whatever it is done, like then they go silent. And then you're wondering like, what the heck, how did you serve? Right? So we see that. So I see callers out there saying yes. Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about earning the right. Okay. And then also the third thing that we're going to talk about is what is the one thing that you need to do before you publish your next piece of content. Okay. And I'm super excited about that one because that's something that I always, every time, before I do a Social Media Saturdays episode, before I put out content out there, I always have this one thing in the back of my mind. Okay. So I see that we have some comments. Nikisha, hey, Doctor, how are you? Thank you so much for jumping on and joining this morning. So Doctor says, like, no one trust factor. Helen is saying yes. Carla is saying right, so true, right? Yeah. So these are the things that, like I said, I see all the time. I'm in conversation, about these things. Cheryl is saying so very true, not serving, only promoting. Right. And it's a big thing. And I'm here to, kind of shift the mindset of how we look at social media. So one of the things that I'm very present to when it comes to social media, I look at social media as a serving tool. Can somebody put that in the comments for me? Social media is a serving tool. And that's what I want everyone to start to look at their social media going forward. Social media is a serving tool and not a selling tool. Okay, well, it can be used as a selling tool, but before you position for the sale, you need to show up and serve. Okay, all right. So social media is a serving tool. Okay. All right. So I did put a poll question into the group. And so if you are not part of our Social Media Saturdays community, I'll tell you a little bit about how you could join the community at the end. But we did have a poll question for the week. And the poll question for the week is, what inspires you the most to write content in your business? Okay. And so that's the question that I'm going to ask you to answer today while we're on the broadcast. What inspires you the most to write content in your business? Okay. So I have a few options. And I'll let you know the options, and then I'll tell you what our members of our community, what was the most answered question, right? Or the most answered option. Okay, so what inspires you the most to write content in your business? All right, so if you are inspired to write content, through the things that you read and the things that you journal, like your journal. So as you read, you journal, you consume other, content, you say, wow, this is so great for me to share with my network. So if that's you, I want you to put a 1 into the comment section. Okay. So if that's you, reading and journaling inspires you to create content or write content, I want you to put that into the comment section. Okay. If you are inspired to create content by social listening, and the social listening is something that we talk about all the time here on the show. How well do you engage in social listening? And when I talk about social listening, this is all of the conversations that we have, whether we're having conversations on the phone, whether we're having conversations, via emails, inbox, direct messages, or even on social media. A lot of us belong to many online groups and online communities, right? So how well do you socially listen? How well, are you able to go into those communities or listen to the conversations of your audience, okay? And hear the problems that they're having with problems or challenges that they're having, and you are listening for ways that you could position yourself as the solution. So if that inspires you to write content, just go ahead and put a 2 into the comment section. Okay. If you are inspired to write content through conversations that you have with other business professionals and colleagues, okay, so maybe you are talking with top influencers, okay, or you have your peers out there in your industry, and you guys get on the phone, maybe you're part of a mastermind and you're having conversations, okay, and as you have these conversations or as you work through things in your business for yourself, right? Then you're saying to yourself, you always have your audience in mind, you always have your clients in mind, and you said, you know what, this would be great content for me to put out there for my audience. So if that's you, if you're having, those higher level conversations with other business professionals, other colleagues, and that inspires you to write content, just go ahead and put a 3, okay, into the comment section. Number 4, what about industry trends? So how many of you are actually staying up to date with all of the stuff that's happening in your industry? So you're able to share all the trends, all the changes, the hot topics, whatever that's happening in the industry, and you come back and you share those things with your audience. So if that's you and that inspires you to write content, put a 4 into the comment section. And then lastly, okay, consistent learning. And I'm very big on consistent learning. And when I say consistent learning, what are you consuming on a regular basis that gets you excited, okay, to come back and share with your audience? And that's how I look at learning. I look at learning as like, oh my gosh, when I find something out, I figure something out, I get super excited because I can't wait to come back and share it with my superstars. I can't wait to come back and share it with my audience. So if that's you, right, consistent learning inspires you, then go ahead and put a 5 into the comment section. All right, so I see that we have some answers out there. Great morning, Deborah. Thank you so much for jumping in and joining. And I see that Peggy is out there. Great morning, Peggy. Thank you so much for jumping on and joining us this morning. So we have a couple of 1s out there, which is reading and journaling. Okay, let's see what else we have out there. We have some 5s. We have 1 and 5. Thank you, Helen, for that. Okay. And David is actually saying, inspired by there being so many in need of other possibilities. Okay, so David, when you take a look at the needs of your audience and you look at the needs of your clients, that inspires you to create more content. Okay, all right, David, I love that, taking a look at the needs. And then I see that Anne is out there, and Anne is saying 5. Okay, so I thought that these were all cool things. There's really no right or wrong answer, for this question. Okay, it's just kind of like what we do on a regular basis, in our lives and in our business, and how we are pulling from the things that we do on a regular and consistent basis that keeps us inspired to produce content or keep us inspired to show up and serve. That's the way how I take a look at it, right? So what inspires me to show up and serve? So in our Social Media Saturdays community, actually the number 1 answer was number 1, reading and journaling. Okay. And so reading and journaling is also like the big thing that I do. Okay. So I found that when I read and then I journal, there's always so many things that I could come back and I could share with my superstars, right? So whether it's putting out a social media post, whether it's writing a blog, or even if it's just just motivation, reading and journaling really helps me with that. So that's my main source of content inspiration. And then secondly, after that is the consistent learning. Okay. So, yes, I see Cheryl is saying pull, incorporate, serve out. You got it, Cheryl. That's exactly what it is. And Cheryl says, yes, she does a mixture of all of the above. Yeah, so that's really great, Cheryl. Like I said, all of these things, that are listed here as the options are things that we're doing anyway, right? So, but the question really is, or the question really should be, are you conscious or are you present, like when you're in these situations, thinking about, how can I serve, my audience with this information? So thank you so much for putting that out there. And so Sandra is saying consistent learning, absorb like a little sponge and squeeze it back out. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. So we are going to talk about a couple of things. So the first thing, and thank you so much for playing along with me and answering the poll questions. Great feedback. This is also what I take a look at as part of social listening, right? So y'all gonna see some of the stuff that y'all put in here again. All right, okay. So we're going to jump in to the first thing that I want to talk about when it comes to creating high value content. Okay. And the resources that you need to create high value content. Okay. And so one of the things that I say it all the time is that we have to plan to be consistent, right? So if you've been following the show, one of the things that you keep hearing me saying, the reason why we're not as consistent sometimes as we would like to be is because we are not planning on being consistent, right? So you have to plan to be consistent. Right? That's the first thing, plan to be consistent. But then when we're taking a look at the resources that's needed to create content, two things I want to talk about this morning, right? And the both of them is time and money. Okay. So how many of you, out there feel like, oh my gosh, creating content takes a lot of time? So if you've ever felt that way, just go ahead and let me know. Time is your issue when it comes to creating or producing high value content, right? So how many of you actually, take a look at everything that you do in your business, and when it comes to creating the content falls like on the bottom rung of your ladder, right? So you think everything else, you do everything else, but you don't take the time, right, to create the content. So I see Carla saying, Lord, yes, right? So yeah, I've been there, Carla, right? So time is your issue. So what does it take to actually produce content? Time is one of the biggest things, okay? And so how many of you, out there think that, what, I am going to solve the time issue by hiring someone else to do my content. So I'm just going to pay, right, some money, right? So I'm just going to pay someone to create my content. And then when you bring on that content writer, in your business, then you realize that having a content writer or having someone produce the content for you can be very costly. Right? So how many of you are, going back and forth, because of the time and the money dilemma? And and this is one of the things that I say, I get it. Okay. And I'm not saying either way is right or wrong. I just want you to kind of be present to where you are. Okay. And so one of the things that I totally get it and I totally understand, like as we continue to grow our business, there's a lot of things, in our business until we are able to outsource, until we are able to hire, right? We have to take care of those things ourselves. Okay. And so that's the first thing that I want to say. I want you guys to understand that I get it because, I've been there. Right. And so one of the things that when it comes to content, shifting, because I see it so many times into kind of changing the mindset when it comes to the content or producing the content, like really and truly your content as a coach, a consultant, as a thought leader, the change maker, the difference maker out there, your content is your responsibility. Okay. So let me just say that you should be the one responsible for creating your content. Okay. So how many of you would agree with that? You should be the one to create your content. And the reason why I say that is because I want you to start to take a look at your content as your money maker. Okay. It's your moneymaker. And why do I say it's your moneymaker? Because it's your conversations that you are having inside of the marketplace, is the way that you position your company, you position your brand to build that like, know, and trust factor. And we're going to talk about that, in a little bit, to build a like, know, and trust factor. And also it allows you to earn the right. Okay. Now, with that being said, it's very important for you to know that you are the content producer, you are the content creator. So many times I've had clients, come to me and they want our company as a social media management company to create the content, right? And I kind of take a look at that and I say, well, here's what we could do as a social media strategist. We could definitely help you get your message out there, to the marketplace. We could help you extend the reach of your message. So there's consistency. So after you create your message, right? So how do you get it out there? If you need help with the postings, we have schedulers, we have a team, we could do that. Okay. Tools, gadget, all of that. But your messaging, right? You are responsible for your messaging. And I'm seeing Helen is out there saying, I agree. I know how I want my brand represented. Yes, Helen, that's the biggest thing, right? Is like, this is our voice into our marketplace. This is what actually draws people in, to our brand. So there's a difference between, creating content and then having the content produced and the content distributed. I want everyone to get that, right? So there's a difference between content creation and a difference between having it produced and then having it distributed. So after you create your content, you could always go ahead and say, hey, now I need, someone, who is a marvelous writer to go ahead and do the edits, so can you edit this blog? Okay, for me, and put in all of the SEO and all of the things that make it pop, right? But the original content comes from you. And then you might have your web designer or your web developer, your web person, take that article and now put that article on your blog. You get it? Okay, so there's nothing wrong with you, producing a video, right? You produce a video, maybe you're doing Facebook Lives, okay? You could always have your team members like repurpose the videos for you, turn it into blogs, turn it into shorter videos, turn it into social media postings, okay? But the original content, you're responsible for the original content. So one of the things that if you're struggling with that, and time is your issue, then I'm going to say, just like everything else that you do in your business, you have to set aside time. You have to block time, okay, to take care of your content. So one of the things that I work with my clients to do is actually create like a schedule, like a content creation and production schedule in their business. Because I'm going to tell you, one of the biggest mistakes that people make when it comes to creating their content is that they think that they have to do everything all at once. Okay, so how many of you, out there are like this? You have the inspiration for the content, right? And then what you try to do is all at one time, write the blog or do the video. And then the same day you write the blog, you do the video, you're trying to get it up onto your website, or you're trying to turn on the camera and then get the video out, right? And then it's a hot mess. You're tired. Everything else is out of whack. It's like you're operating in confusion. Right? So if you've ever experienced that, like, then this is for you. So one of the things that I'm going to strongly suggest is that you should have, time in your business where you specifically work on your content. Like, what's the day, that you're going to write content? Okay. And that could be the day that you spend maybe an hour, 2 hours creating the content. And when I say creating the content, I don't mean all the bells, whistles. I don't mean all the pretty stuff, right? Just getting it out of your head onto paper, like write the content. Okay. And then what is the day that you are going to produce the content? Okay, so your content creation day and your content production day does not have to be the same day. There's no rule in life that says content creation day and content production day has to be the same day. Okay, so if anyone has made you feel that way, I am here to change that. Okay, so what is the day that you're going to produce the content? So what is the day that the content is going to go up on the website if you're doing blogs, right? What is the day that you're going to record for your podcast? What is the day if you're doing live videos, like we're doing live videos here? What is the day that you're going to produce your live video? Okay, so that's it. Like, And that's how you actually solve the time issue. You solve the time issue by not trying to do everything all at once. Break it down, chunk it. Just like everything else that we do in our business and we chunk stuff, you got to chunk, the process for your content. Okay. All right. So I hope that helps someone out there. So Carla is saying, I started setting time aside for preparing a week at a time and schedule it to be posted on a certain date and time. It has helped so much. Yes, that's the whole thing, right? A lot of times, Carla, what we're trying to do is like, we're trying to do like everything like all at once. And that's where the burnout comes in. And then we wonder why we can't, become consistent. We can't stay consistent because we haven't created like a routine around it. So as you take, and I hope everyone is planning, their week like on Sundays, right? So we are planning a week on Sundays. So as you plan out your week, right? Look at your week realistically and then look at all the things that need to happen for your content and what days of the week that you're going to take care of certain things, and then you get it ready for production. Okay. And when I talk about this is where it gets really exciting. It gets really exciting because when you plan your content out like that, or you plan your content creation and production, then you're able to see like all the cool things like, oh, okay, this lead magnet will be able to go right with this piece of content. Okay. And I could do this with this piece of content. Okay. But if you're doing things kind of like on the fly, you're always missing opportunities all the time. So one of the things that people struggle with, they tell me all the time, I'm doing live videos and, I'm not getting people to watch my videos. I'm not getting the audience that I want when I'm on my videos. Okay. And so one of the biggest questions that I ask is, do you promote your Facebook Lives? If you're doing video content, do you promote your content? Right. And it doesn't even have to stop at video content. Let me just say this is all content across the board. So whether you're doing a blog or you're doing a podcast, do you promote your stuff? Right. And then a lot of times the answer to the question is no. Right. So once you start to plan ahead and you get things in order, right, it allows you to do pretty cool things, right? Especially promote. Okay. And so if you're looking at your live videos and you want to build up your engagement, you want to build up your viewership, on your videos, promote your videos. Okay. Let your audience know in advance that you're going to go live. And I'm telling you, it helps. It might sound corny. Like, I don't know how people think about it, but let me tell you, when you tell people, that you are, showing up for them and what time you're going to show up for them, then they'll make the time to show up for you. Okay. And so that's the way how I want you guys to start to think about it. Okay. And so the next question that, I had 3 tools here that I wanted to share with you. So if you are out there and you are kind of struggling too, I'm going to share 3 tools with you. If you're kind of struggling, with the creation of the content, and especially you're looking at topics and you're kind of struggling, like, what topic am I going to talk about? Right. So there are 3 resources that you could use. The first resource is Feedly. So how many of you have ever heard of Feedly before? Right. So Feedly is a really cool tool. So you could go on to feedly.com, and feedly.com would allow you to put in like content topics, and then you'll start to see like all of the different, articles that have been written around that content. Right. Now, I'm not saying that you go ahead and you rip people's stuff off. I'm not talking about plagiarizing and taking people's content and turning it into your own. But how can you use what you see or what the market is asking for as inspiration for you to create content? Okay. And another cool tool, so Feedly is the first one. So someone could put that into the comment section, feedly.com, feedly.com, feedly.com. The second one is blogabout.com. So how many of you have heard about blogabout.com? Okay, so blogabout.com is another cool site, and I'm getting excited, right? Is another cool site that you could go to blogabout.com and you can put in like a topic. Say if you want to put in content creation, you could put in content creation, and then what Blog About will do is give you like a whole bunch of, title, well, not really titles, but things, topics. That's what it's called, topics that you can, write about or create content around. Okay. And so if you're ever going into writer's block and you're kind of stuck, Blog About is definitely a site that you want to check. Okay, so blogabout.com. So thank you, Cheryl, for putting that in there. Thank you for Helen for putting that in there. Blogabout.com, Feedly. Yep, those are the resources that I use. And then the biggest one for me is the headline analyzer, CoSchedule headline analyzer. And I do believe I talked about the headline analyzer a couple weeks ago, and I put it into our Social Media Saturdays community. So I'm going to drop the link again. Okay. So after you have created or you come up with your topic idea, you want to make sure that you are putting it in the headline analyzer, and you want to make sure that you're getting, a great score. Okay. And it will score you. And the reason why this is important is because when you create your content, you want your content to be found. And let me just say this, Facebook videos, people do find Facebook videos. People do, like when you do your Google search, right? People do come across your YouTube videos. They do come across, your articles, right? If you have them titled properly and they're SEO optimized and everything. Okay. So the CoSchedule headline analyzer is definitely a tool that I use in my business as well. Okay. All right. So now we are going to talk a little bit about the like, know, and trust factor, and then earning the right. So as I was preparing, like, God is so good, right? Because I tell you, he shows up like in all sorts of ways. So as I was preparing for the show this morning, I was getting dressed and everything. I'm listening to a podcast, right? And it's Build Your Tribe podcast. And I forgot who runs the Build Your Tribe podcast, but anyway, it's on Stitcher, right? And one of the things that they talked about on the podcast episode, I can't even remember the name of the episode, right? But they talk about giving away free content, right? And I smile. And the reason why I smile is because it's one of the biggest questions that I get all the time around Social Media Saturdays. It's like, Taria, why do you on Social Media Saturdays give away so much information? Okay. People ask me that question all the time. Aren't you scared that because you give all of this information, people won't engage in your paid services? And my answer to the question is no, I'm not, right? Like, I don't have like a scarcity mindset, okay? My mindset is one of abundance. And I truly understand, and I truly believe, right? Like, when you show up to serve, and I want everyone to get this, like, when you show up to serve, you attract the right people, you attract the perfect people, to work with you in your business. So a lot of times, a lot of us, and I've been through the struggle, let me tell you, a lot of us out there, we have our businesses as coaches and consultants, and like, we're like, oh my gosh, why can't I get the right clients? Or can I get a client? Okay, I've been there, right? Can I get just one client, right? So I've been there, one client. And then after you start getting clients, you'll be like, oh my gosh, can I get the perfect ones? Can I get my ideal clients? Okay. And so one of the things that I became present to like very quickly is the ability to serve and show up and serve. Okay. And when we talk about show up and serve, that's just my way of saying, build your like, know, and trust factor. So a lot of people are really challenged, well, if I show up and I give this, talk about this, or I share this with my audience, then they won't want to buy anything from me. But I'm telling you, people are really checking you out. And then people always want to do business with what? With whom? With people who they like, know, and trust. Okay. And so we talk about creating that experience around your brand. So when people see you, they come across your content, right? How are you building the like, know, and trust factor? Okay. What does your serving style, what does your serving style say about you? Okay. That's the question, right? And I'm just going to say this. The reason why I'm talking about it is because it takes time to build your like, know, and trust factor. So a lot of times we get discouraged when we take the actions one or two times and we don't see the results that we want to see. And then we automatically go into the negative self-talk, talking about, oh, this doesn't work. It works for everybody else, but it doesn't work for me, and blah, 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 blah. Whatever that self-talk that you give yourself, I'm going to challenge yourself today to get you to get rid of that negative self-talk. And it takes time because, once again, put yourself in your audience shoes. So how long does it take for you to engage someone in their paid services? Okay. How long does it take? So do you, when you are on social media and you're watching, a video and someone shared information, do you automatically go, hey, that's the coach for me, right? That's the person that I want to work with. Sometimes it does happen. I'm not saying that it never does, right? Or do you check the person out several times before you make a decision to work with that person? Okay. And the majority of people do the second one, right? We check people out numerous times, okay? And we're checking for a lot of things. We're checking not only for how, they show up as the expert and how they could help us, but we also show up with them being consistent. So are they going to show up today? And then, 6 months or 6 weeks, 2 weeks, we don't hear from them again. And then they pop up again another 6 months, like consistency, right? So we want to know those things, and so that's the reason why I'm talking about it, right? So when you create your content, do you have in mind, like, okay, I have to be consistent around this, because if I'm not consistent, then I'm only making it harder for people to like, know, and trust me. Okay. But when I show up, and I show up in such a way, I show up in a manner where I'm serving, then I build a like, know, and trust factor, and I build it faster. Okay. And so I'm going to say, building up your like, know, and trust factor, be prepared for it, right? It's usually going to probably take you anywhere from 6 months to a year. Okay, so a lot of times we're out there, we have communities, we're doing the videos, we're creating the blogs, and then we want to know why we don't have the audience. It's like, oh, I did the video today and I thought like 1 million people was going to be on the video. Right? Okay. But no, sometimes it does take time. So be prepared, like in your mind, to work through that. Okay. And I see that we have caller is saying the comparison game is a dream killer. Isn't it though, caller? And it's so crazy, because what I see people doing like all the time is they're looking at big name influencers. They're looking at the Gary V's of the world. Okay. And they're comparing, their starting point or their middle point, to like a Gary V. And when I tell you, it's so much more that goes into, building an audience. Okay. If I had to tell you like the thousands of dollars, and I've had the opportunity to work behind some of those brands, right? The thousands of dollars that goes in, to creating a content strategy, like you're running ads, okay, to build up your audience. And when people tell you, yeah, you're going to drop like 2,000 or you're going to drop like 5,000 on an ad campaign, sometimes people want to hit the floor. Okay. And so those are things that you could always grow into. So start where you are. right? Start where you are and have confidence in where you are, and then set your sights into what you want to grow into. So thank you so much, Carla, for that. Okay. um and Carla is saying, yes, I need a client. Yeah, girl, I've been there too. You know what I'm saying? Doing all this stuff. Is like, can I get one? Just one? Okay. I promise you, when I get that one, we're gonna do right. But yeah, so you go from, getting clients on a consistent basis, and then you learn also, hey, it's not just about getting anybody in the doors, of your business, but it's getting the right people, the perfect people, the people that energize you, because that's what we all want, right? We all want to have that business that energizes us. Like when we get up every day, we can't wait to get up and serve. Okay, you can't wait to talk to your clients. Like you looking from the night before to see who's on your calendar, right? The next day, and you're like, ooh, I got this stuff. This is what I'm going to share, and this is what I'm going to bring, and I'm going to share with you. It's like one of the best feelings, like when you work with the right people, the perfect people. And for you, let me just say this: the perfect people, that because we're all divinely called to serve and help, people who we're supposed to help, and those people come through our doors, and it's such an amazing thing to see them go through the breakthroughs, to see them experience the transformations and everything. So definitely you want to be able to build a like, know, and trust factor, and then earn the right. Okay, so earning the right comes in. Remember, I talk about those people who show up on social media only when they have something to promote. Okay, so it's like you see them when they're launching something, and then it's a big hoopla, and then after the event, the program is done, then they go dead, they go silent. You can't find them, you can't hear them, anything until the next thing, right? So that doesn't position you to earn the right. So how are you positioning yourself to earn the right before you ask for the sale? Okay, so that's the second thing that I wanted to talk about. Okay, so I'm going to share. I came prepared, and I'm looking at my time, but it's okay. It's my show. I could go over. So I came prepared to share with you 4 strategies that you could implement today when it comes to creating high value content. Okay, so 4 strategies. 4 strategies, 4 things that I'm going to tell you that you could start to do right now. So it's like after you get off this broadcast and you're thinking about what it is you're going to produce next, I want you to keep these 4 things in mind. Okay, so the first thing is teach lessons. Okay, now I'm going to say this is like one of the biggest things for me when I really got this. Okay, when I really got this and I really understood this, because like I'm the gadget person, right? I love tools. I love to figure out how things work. Okay. And so there was a time when I believe that that's what it really took to be the bomb.com in social media, right? Like we're going to take all of these tools, gadgets, widgets, everything, and then we're going to make it work. But it wasn't until, I started to teach from my experience and take a look at all the things that I go through, as an entrepreneur, and started to say, these are the things that I've learned the hard way. These are the things that I've knocked my head against the wall. How can I make this easier for the next person? Okay, so how can I make this easier for my superstars? How can I make this easier for my clients? Teach the lesson. Okay, teach lessons. So when you create your content, what are you actually teaching people in your content, or teaching people through your content? And so we talk about this all the time when you do your social listening, right? What are the things that people are asking you for on a regular and consistent basis, or the frequently asked question? I say it all the time. I have a rule. If people ask the same question more than 3 times, I'm going to create content around it. Okay, so someone asks, or people ask the same question more than 3 times, definitely some type of content is coming out around it. So that's the first thing. Okay, make sure that you teach through your content. The second strategy that I'm going to implore you to implement is to be transparent. Okay, be transparent. And this once again builds your like, know, and trust factor. So here's the thing, a lot of times we're thinking like we have to show up perfect, right? Our audience doesn't want us to show up perfect. Okay, they want to know that we get them. Okay, they want to know that we understand where they are and where they're striving to be. So that has nothing to do with being perfect. Okay, so be transparent. Okay, show not only show your good stuff, talk about the lessons that you learn in your tough times as well. Okay, because you're through your tough times, if you went through something that was tough, then imagine how many other people out there in business are going through the same thing, and they need help, they need a guide, they need someone that they connect to. So be transparent. You don't always have to show up like you know everything, right? It doesn't, you don't always have to show up like, like you're putting on the airs of being perfect. So be transparent with your audience. Number three, I talk about number three all the time, right? Number three is being consistent, right? So how do you position yourself to be consistent? You plan to be consistent, right? So if you're not planning your content, you're not planning your step, and you don't have it conscious in your mind that these are the things that you're going to do, then you are going to drop the ball all the time. Like for me, if it's not on my calendar, like I have water, drinking water is on my calendar. Okay, my alarm actually goes off when I need to drink water. So put it on your calendar, okay? Put it on your calendar. It allows you to be consistent. And like we talked about in the beginning, you don't have to stress yourself out trying to do everything all at one time. Chunk stuff down. So when you chunk it, you put it different days, then you allow yourself to say, hey, we're moving the needle, we're getting this done. And then this allows me to show up, whether your cycle is you're producing content every week, you're producing content every day, you're producing it once a month. And that's another thing. Let me just say this, because another question that I get all the time is, should I be doing Facebook Live videos every day? Okay. And I do know that we do have some influencers out there that do live videos every day. That's their model. There's nothing wrong with that, right? And then they do live videos 2-3 times a day. Okay. So I'm just going to say, if that model works for you, go ahead, go at it. That model does not work for Taria. Like, my clients would not appreciate it at all. Right. So you don't have to go out there and be a slave to the camera. Okay. But just be consistent. So when does your audience expect you to show up? So do they expect you to show up every day? And if that's the expectation that you set for your audience, then you be consistent and show up every day. If you know that you can't show up every day and you are able to show up every week, then you show up every week. Okay, so plan to be consistent. Okay, and then the fourth thing is become a storyteller, which is like one of my my favorites, right? So become the storyteller. So when I say become the storyteller, is what lessons have you learned? Okay, coming through all of this, what lessons have you learned, and how are you wrapping those lessons around the story? So, there's a saying, facts tell, stories sell. Right? And by telling stories or wrapping your experience or the lessons in a story is exactly how you connect with your audience. Okay. And so I'm smiling because, once again, now you see why I talk so much about planning to be consistent. So as you are creating your content and the points that you have, do you have stories that you want to share, or this story would be a perfect illustration for the point that I'm going to make? Okay, like, hey, you can't do this, guys, consistently when you are just winging it on social media. Okay, so those are the things that I wanted to share. And then I see Small goals for big impact. Thank you for that. Nordella is out there saying inconsistency is a killer to business relationships. It sure is. Okay. So thank you so much for that, Nordella. Nothing is new under the sun. If you have or you're going through it, more people are doing the same. Yeah. So that's the thing, right? A lot of times, Kala, like when we go through our experiences, we kind of like want to fold in, right? And we beat ourselves up, and we really don't understand that the experiences that we go through like really aren't for us, right? It's for us to learn the lesson so we could teach the lesson and help others through the lesson. Okay, so that's one of the things, not just in business, that's how I look at life now, period. Right? Like, oh, okay, so I went through this experience that was horrible, wish not to do that again. But the next thing I ask myself is, what did I learn? What did I learn coming through this experience? What's the lesson here? Okay. And then when I run into people who could benefit for that lesson, I have, a way that I could serve them through the lesson. Okay. So yes, being able to, be transparent. All right. So now the last thing that I wanted to talk about and share is what is the one thing that you need to do before you publish your next piece of content? So what is the one thing? So who can tell me what is the one thing that you need to do before you publish your next piece of content? Okay. So if you have an idea of what it is, go ahead and drop that into the comment section. And then let me just see what people are saying. Yes. And Carla is saying, yes, learn and serve. I don't see any comments, but I want you to know I watched today. Okay, so, here's the funny thing. While I'm waiting for the comments to come through, I'm using StreamYard as the tool for Social Media Saturdays. And we are broadcasting. I'm so excited for today's episode because we're actually going live like 6 places. I do believe it's 6 places, right? And so I can't see all the names. Okay. So after I finish the broadcast, then I'm going to go back and I'll respond to all of the comments individually. Right. So whoever you're the saying that you can't see the comments, but you've watched, I appreciate it. So thank you so much for jumping on Social Media Saturdays. I could see you, but I just can't see your name. Okay. Oh, that was from Audrey Hyman. Okay. Hi, Audrey. I don't know why I can never see your name. Okay. Maybe it's because you're watching from the group. So I don't know why StreamYard does that. I'll have to look into that. Okay, so relevant is good. Is it relevance? I see relevance. Let people know it's coming. Okay, so those are good, but it's not it. Okay, so let me tell you what I want everyone to start to think about before you produce your next piece of content. And it should be every time you get ready to produce a piece of content, I want you to think about what is your goal around the content that you're going to produce. Let me just say that. What is the goal? So that's the number one thing you need to think about or you need to do before you produce your next piece of content. You need to establish a goal. Next step is to plan, right? So you need to establish a goal around the content. So why am I talking about having a goal for your content? So once again, it goes back, into, building our audience, building the like, know, and trust factor. And we're talking about strategy. So one of the things that I'm really big on when it comes to social media is not having a bunch of activity and then you can't see the ROI on your activity. So that's the thing that people get frustrated about social media. Okay. So it's like, I'm doing all of this stuff on social media and I can't see like how it adds up. So do you know what your goal is for the content that you're going to produce? Okay, so when you produce your content, say you're doing a Facebook Live video, right? We're going to talk about this. You're doing a Facebook Live video. What is your main goal with that video? right? Are you producing that video to build up your influence? Okay, are you increasing your viewership? Is if that's the goal, then that's the goal, right? You are building up your influence into the marketplace, and so you know you're creating brand awareness, right? So you know that your Facebook Live videos is your brand awareness strategy. So you're out there, you're putting your brand out there. You want to be seen by your ideal clients, your perfect clients, and so what you need to do is do more. We're just talking about videos. You do more videos. Okay. And so if that's the intent when you do your Facebook Live videos, great. When you do your Facebook Live videos, are you driving traffic? Where are you driving your traffic to? Are you driving traffic to your community? Are you driving people to your lead magnet? Are you building your list? Are you launching a program? Okay. So what is the goal? What is the end result that you want to have around your content? Okay. And each piece of content that you produce, whether it's a video, whether it's a blog, whether it's just a stat, what's the goal? What are you going for? Even if you're making a Facebook post, are you going for engagement? Right? Are you making that social media post just because you want to make the post and you think it's cute? Or are you actually saying, this gives me the opportunity to learn a little bit more about my audience? Do you have a reason behind the things that you are posting on social media? Okay. And so that's the biggest thing that I wanted to share around your content. Make sure that you have a goal in mind when you produce your content. And I'm going to tell you, it shifts everything. Like when you know you have something that you are working towards when you produce your content, then you get excited about producing the content. If you don't have the goal, then you do things and then all of a sudden you really don't know like what to measure because there was really no goal in mind. So you can't measure anything. You don't know what to measure. And so you get discouraged and then you just kind of fall off. And that's a huge part of where the inconsistency comes in. But if you know the certain actions that you're going to take allows certain things to happen and move the needle in your business, then you get excited about taking those actions. Okay. So I hope that everyone gets that. Okay. So having the goal around the content. I see that Nordelia says she loves it. Yeah. So like that's the biggest thing, right? So every time you produce your content, no matter what type of content it is, you always want to have what's the goal in mind. What is it that you want this piece of content to do when you produce the content? Okay. All right. And I promised that I was going to share like my number one strategy to stay inspired around content creation. So I'm an avid learner. You know, I love to learn things. And one of the things that I do like every single day, and we're going back to making sure that we are blocking off time in our life and on our calendar and a schedule to get certain things done. So one of the things that I start my day with is reading and journaling. So every morning for at least an hour, I read and I journal. I read and I journal. Okay. I consume, I read, depends on what it is, I choose to read at the day. And then I journal it. So what are my thoughts? And then I always have in mind, how can I serve? With this piece of content. And so even for my clients who work with me, especially the ladies in my mastermind class, my mastermind group, like when I go through, if it's a book, if it's a program, any piece of content, like, oh my gosh, I think my superstars need to know this. Okay. I'm going to share it. Right. So that's my source of inspiration. Okay. I once again, like I said, as I was preparing for the show this morning, I'm listening to a podcast and they talk about why, free content and the big thing, why you need to, have some things that you put out there in the marketplace that's for free, right? To build your like, know, and trust factor. So I always get excited, okay, about reading and journaling and then taking a look at the information and saying, how do I serve? Okay. So we are getting ready to wrap up this episode, and I hope that this episode served today, okay? Because like I said, it's one of the biggest questions that I get all the time in my business is how do you create high value content and how do you stay consistent around creating the content. Okay. So I'm just going to say, if you are out there, you tuned in to this episode this morning, and you know that some of the things that I talked about, like you are particularly challenged in your business around it and you want to have a conversation around it, okay, I'm offering the opportunity to have a discovery call with you. Okay, so I'm going to actually put it on the screen. Okay, and hopefully you could see it. If someone could just drop it inside of the comment section for me to schedule a complimentary 30-minute discovery call, you could simply go to bit.ly/SMS discovery. Okay, so once again, like I said, if this is for you, if I cover things and you know that these are the things that you are challenged with and you want to get over the hurdle, you want to do things, better in your business, you want to start attracting your perfect client so you could build a business that you truly love. Okay, then let's have a conversation around it. Okay, so take the opportunity to schedule your 30-minute call with me. Okay, and I think the link is scrolling across the screen. I could see the ticker. Okay, and so once again, if you have not grabbed the Identify Who You're Called to Serve workbook, you could do so by commenting with the word shine in the comment section. Okay, so just type the word shine in the comment section, and then what that would do, it would send you a message via Facebook Messenger, and just follow through the prompts. Okay, so you have to make sure that you follow through the prompts, and then you'll be able to access the workbook directly on your device. Okay. And I see Nodella put the link in there. Thank you so much, my dear, for dropping that in there. Okay. And then if you are not a member of our Social Media Saturdays community, this is my invitation for you to stay connected during the week. Okay, so I have a wonderful community of superstars, like-minded individuals. We're all business professionals, entrepreneurs on this journey together. So it's a great place for you to stay connected. So you could simply go to Facebook, type in the search box, Social Media Saturdays, helping you to serve, share, and shine. Once you type that in, you'll see the page. If you have not liked the page, make sure you like the page so you could get notified of all the cool things that we do. But you could also join our community as well and stay connected during the week. Okay. We are also on Instagram. So if you are on Instagram and you would like to follow us on Instagram, we are at Watch SMS Live on Instagram. Okay. If you are on Twitter and you're following us from Twitter, you could actually go to Watch SMS Live on Twitter and you could join us there. I'm on LinkedIn. If you would like to connect on LinkedIn, you could follow me at Taria Hodge on LinkedIn. And then finally, we are on YouTube. So we do have a Social Media Saturdays YouTube channel. So go head on over there, subscribe to the channel, and then that way you're able to, if you watch videos on YouTube all the time, you're able to see all of the past recordings of our show on YouTube as well. Okay, so thank you, superstars, once again for tuning in and joining in on Social Media Saturdays. I'm wishing each and every one of you a blessed week until we meet again. If you have any questions, make sure to head on over to the group, ask your questions, make your comments inside of the group. If you know you need to talk about some things, make sure that you schedule your discovery call. Okay. So Cynthia is saying, thank you. You're welcome, Cynthia. It's my pleasure to serve. I see Sandra is getting her workbook, and Odelia is saying yes. She's gained some insightful info, and Carla is saying great stuff. And I just see all of the comments. Okay, guys, thank you so much and take care until next time. Bye-bye.